welcome officially, yes, to the Culinary Hotline. Bling, ting, ting, ting. There we go. I'm going to have to be regimental about it this morning. So I was going to do a beautiful fridge cheesecake, and then I scrapped that because Jay don't do fridge cheesecakes, okay? He only do baked cheesecakes. I even made them bring in a stand mixer for you. I was like, what Jay needs, Jay gets. Buddy, do you know what I love the most about you? You love everything. You love everyone, and you are there for everyone. There is just this fountain of love and positivity. Thank you so much for being that in our space. Absolutely love the fact that we get to plug into you, dude. This is crazy to me. This is the first time on the show. We've never made a sister cake before.
Yeah,
right?
crazy.
Explain yourself.
So this is actually something that I created. It was the first challenge of the Taste Master. It was a spice-inspired cake. Ooh. I thought about what is something in my life, you know, that reminds me of spice and deliciousness, and it was a sister. So I was 100%. Like, okay, well, I've got to make a sister cake. And I chatted to a good friend of mine, Culinary, who is a sensational food stylist and someone I look up to. And I said to her, girl, I had a dream about this cake. Can you help me put it together or help me put my thoughts together? And we sort of ran with it, and this is what we
And this is the results. And
yeah.
You've got to tread lightly when you're playing with traditional recipes. I understand that. So we are treating this with the utmost care and honouring the sister through this process, not degrading that idea at all. I love that. Okay, let's jump right in. What do you need?
Okay, cool.
So we trade places.
This recipe is an adaptation of my vanilla cake recipe, which is incredibly super easy. So what we've already done here is we've sort of creamed our eggs and our sugar together.
Okay, and it's got quite a whip to it, yeah.
It's sort of tripled in volume. I love this process. I mean, how glorious is this? Eggs and sugar.
It looks like a cream.
It's like a cloud.
A beautiful, rich, creamy cloud.
So once you've gotten this step out of the way, you can actually get rid of your stand mixer.
Oh, wow.
Because this is all the hard work done for you already. Then I'm going to go in with my other wet ingredients. So I've got 3/4 cup of oil. I always like to use something that's got a neutral taste or flavor.
What does the oil do? Is it a mouthfeel element?
Oil is about moisture.
Okay.
It's about moisture and the crumb of the cake. So
okay, the consistency
I love
of that.
oil cakes because they also keep longer. So it also, you know, if you're making a big cake at home and you're storing it in the fridge, it stores exceptionally well, freezes very well as well. So if you're making a batch, I always make extra, put it in the freezer, and then a month later defrost it and use it.
Beautiful.
Then I've got some beautiful buttermilk.
Oh.
The other ingredient I love to substitute this for is Mars, which I think is a beautiful, beautiful product. And then what I'm going to do here, I've got some cake flour. I'm going to go in with about 1/2 tablespoon of baking powder.
Yeah, but I can almost see like the numbers in your head working this out. When you eyeball, I think it's very different to us eyeballing. And I know you've been very open and honest about you being quite loose and fast in the kitchen with your measurements. But I think you've got a very practiced eye, man.
No, for sure. You know, I'm going with it. I'm going with it. This is ilachi, ground cardamom.
Oh, beautiful.
Or ilachi. Now these are. Everyone flavors their sisters differently. Everyone's got their spice blend. Some people like it spicier, some people like it a bit more edgier and earthier. So these are just some of the spices that I like to put in mine when I make them at home.
And so a nice balance of, I always call them the heady spices, the things that kind of hit your olfactory senses. They hit the memory gland. They press that button where you are taken back to that moment when you bit into one there at that place, you know?
And when I develop cakes and recipes, that's always my go-to place, you know? And being, you know, away from home, moving to the mother city, cooking and baking is when I feel down and I cook a recipe that my mom made. It fills my cup so much. So this is part of the inspiration behind this.
I call those quantum connections to those moments where you can always go back to it. It's not a 10-year ago kind of thing. That time doesn't exist.
Yeah.
It's there. It exists in your mind. And food it's a magical way of just connecting straight to it. I get you completely.
For sure.
What is that?
This is, my friend, aniseed, whole aniseed. You've got to give that a smell. So not to be confused with star anise. Exactly. So I always put this in my sisters. It just little pops and bursts of flavor. It lingers on your tongue. It's just incredible. So these spices you can use as much as or little as you want in this recipe.
Because
So-
we're inspired by the flavors of the kussister.
Exactly.
And you might even discover a new flavor profile or balance of those spices that you want to then kind of employ in your actual kussister recipe. Oh man, I'm thinking there is an opportunity to plug into generational knowledge here when it comes to baking. If you've got any questions, please drop us a voice note. Hit us up on our socials. At Expresso Show is where you'll find us. Hashtag us whenever you're talking. But you can give us a call 063 036 3369. 9649. It's on your screen right now. Sorry, it's our new number. When you're trying to remember like 10 numbers a day, yes, it will happen, but this number is one worth remembering. In fact, write it down on your hand if you have to. But any questions you have, and especially on the traditional side, I love the fact that we are playing around with something that kind of a lot of people are going to have a connection to, and that must make you feel so cool when you know that so many people must have thought about doing this, but now you've made it real.
It's insane, and you know the response that I got from the viewers, people I bump into on the street, like, dude, you got to make me that cake.
Oh, bless you, child.
And you can see, Graham, just by looking at this color, it's so reminiscent of the dough making process
for
of
sure,
a sister. All
completely.
those little specks of spice. The only thing I think it's missing is the nachi, but we're going to get to that a bit later.
Well, no, I had no doubt that you were going to do it in a very novel way. It seems still very aerated. It doesn't look thick and stodgy and heavy. Why is that so important with a cake mixture like this? And I probably asked you this about 1,000,000 times, but it seems vital.
It's incredibly vital. So you're building up structure as the cake bakes, and if you knock out all of that air, all that cake is going to do is just
kind of
collapse
shrink down
and be dense and not palatable. So it's always important to be as light as possible. This recipe in particular is very forgiving. So you might see a few specks of, you know, bit lumpy here and there, but in my experience, that leads to a more moist cake.
Oh, really?
So as long as it's not like overly clumpy, you obviously don't want pockets of flour in your cake once it's baked, but you sort of don't have to be too pedantic about it.
I like it. I love it. The word forgiving is great in the baking space. And if you've got any questions, maybe you've tried a recipe that was not so forgiving, you can let us know and you can ask those questions. That number again, 063, write it down, 036 9649. If you've got any questions or comments for Jay, please send them through. And then, of course, we're going to be moving on to from our bake to our beautiful frosted icing in just a moment. Oh, this is shaping up to be something beautiful. You are a genius, my friend. We'll see you now. I want to
It's my feel-good breakfast show. And yes, we are back in the kitchen for part 2. I want to build it up slowly for the Culinary Hotline Bling.
Ting, ting, ting.
Oh, it's the dance moves for me, Jay. And yes, Jay is still here with his famous kussister cake, and things are about to get a little bit zesty with this buttery nachi curd that packs a punch. Plus, we're starting the decorating, my favorite part. So to demonstrate the cake and to demonstrate how we do this exactly, we had to bring in the guy himself. Welcome back.
Wow.
I'm so excited about the nachi curd. What the heck?
Right?
How did you come up with those?
I mean, obviously this is a celebration cake, so it's a play on a kussister. So while we, you know, we're giving the girl a little bit of a makeover.
Oh, I like that.
Not that she needed one.
She didn't, but
you know,
nachis are always a great idea.
Yeah, and also it's just something that's quintessentially South African, which is.
Do you remember that ad? It was like Nazi.
Oh. Show your age, girl.
Beautiful. I don't mind. Our age, exactly. Okay, so where do we begin?
Let's begin on the syrup.
Okay.
We all know kusisters need syrup.
It
and
does.
I'm a syrup person. I want it soaked.
Yes.
Want it
I actually
soaked.
thought you were going to deep fry the dough.
Remember, this is a cake, girl. So
Wouldn't it still be a cake if it's deep fried?
I suppose so. I mean, I wouldn't be
Is
surprised.
the definition of a cake, you got to bake it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So for the syrup, we've got some caster sugar, cardamom pods, we've got star anise, and we've got some cinnamon.
These cardamons.
There we go. That's cardamom. Ilachi.
Okay.
So we're going to put that into the pan with some water. I'm going to do probably about a cup or so of water. Give it a stir, and then that you can sort of put on the side, let it go. If it becomes too thick, add some more water.
Okay.
If it's too thin, just keep boiling it.
And
then
we're doing low heat?
low heat, very low heat.
For how long?
Until you get sort of this consistency. So it's still, it jiggles in the pan. You can see
smells like a
those,
Cusister.
those spices. So heat it up, let it melt down, infuse, and then set it aside.
Beautiful.
Then we've got buttercream, of course, which we need for our cake to frost it. In here, I've got some white margarine. I always say choose or buy ingredients that you can afford. So get the best of what you can afford. So if you can afford butter, go for butter, white margarine. I like white margarine sometimes just because it gives you that nice, clean, white look.
Yes, I'm here
so
for it.
into the pot, into the stand mixer we go. Okay, we're gonna cream that up. And then until it's nice and soft. Important to have all your ingredients at this stage at the same temperature. So we've got some
That's what I was
cream
going to ask you.
cheese
So is it
as
room
well.
temperature? You've
So
taken
it's
it out
all-
the fridge for
so
a while.
it's all at room temperature. You can see how soft and pliable that
Yes.
already
And this is what?
This is cream cheese.
Cream cheese.
So I like just a little bit of the acidity that that adds. You know, cakes don't always have to be completely sweet.
I
you
prefer
know?
them when they're a bit tangy. Actually,
Yeah, a
but
little
zesty.
bit of zesty gives you a bit of interest. You know.
And you can have more of it if it's not sickly sweet as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then it's good for the kids and the whole family as well.
100%.
So you just want to get that nice and creamy. Let me show the viewers how beautiful that is. Can you see how quick
Stunning.
that took? It literally was a few seconds. Okay, and then into this we're going to add in our icing sugar.
Oh, lovely.
I'm just going to give that a stir. This is a good trick to use if you don't have time to sieve. But I would, for this, recommend that you do that because if it's not completely fine, you're going to take a lot more time getting it smooth. And with cream cheese icing, it's very temperamental. So if you overwork it, it sort of denatures the cream cheese and it makes it very runny and thin, and then it's impossible to get it back.
Okay.
So you want to just sort of be
And
very...
this is manual labor now. We have
This
to
is
do it
manual
with-
labor. I prefer to just stir that in, being very demure.
Come on, very cutesy.
Are we still there?
We're not, but I will entertain you for today, Jay. Well, listen, we did say that if you have any culinary conundrums, let us know on our WhatsApp line, and we do have a voice note. So
wow.
let's see if you can answer this one. Play the voice note.
Hi, Chef. I just wanted to know if I'm making cook sisters, why the next day it's so stiff? Is there any way or anything that I can put in to keep it soft so the next day when I enjoy it, I don't have to heat it up in the microwave. I can just enjoy it just so.
Ooh, that's a great question. Because after the Sunday Sisters, you want to eat it Monday hard. Okay, what do we do?
So it's a couple of things. Look, I don't know the recipe that you've used, but I think it might be a problem with not proving the dough enough. So giving that dough enough time to really get its full rise before working with it. Over kneading it can also lead to it becoming very tough.
Yes.
So make sure you light and airy with your dough firstly. And then once you have fried them off, storage is also important. So make sure you're storing it in something that's airtight, very well sealed. If you're not using it the next day, I would freeze them. Freezing them is actually...
Now, do you freeze them in the dough state or with the syrup and the coconut?
So I freeze them after they've been fried.
Okay.
So fry them, put them in a little oven bag into the freezer, and that actually also just keeps them nice and soft.
Lovely.
Especially if they're still warm and you put them in the freezer bag and close it.
Oh.
And that residual heat will keep it nice and soft.
So moist.
So nice and moist.
Okay,
Yeah.
the sisters are
Yeah.
moist.
You
We
can
love
also just sprinkle some. Get a spray bottle, spray some water over into the microwave or in the oven.
So this is what I was going to do, because when I have almost like stale-ish bread the next day or days later, I literally soak it in water under the tap and then put it back in the oven, and it comes out like a fresh loaf of bread.
Yeah.
So surely you could do the same.
You could do the same, or girl, put them back in the pan with the syrup, get them more syrup, and then they'll be soft.
Agreed.
Okay, so we're just going to beat our cream cheese in there
With the icing
with
sugar.
the icing sugar. And then it's still gonna need some time, but essentially this is the nice smooth consistency that you're looking for. Look at that.
That's beautiful.
Right. And then to this, we've just added some coconut cream. So just to bring in that coconut vibe with the kusista.
Lovely.
So I'm going to add just a drip of this, and I add it right at the end.
Okay.
This is also nice, great tip if you're making this style of buttercream. If you find that it's very stiff or very lumpy, just either add a tablespoon or so of coconut cream or regular cream, or even just hot water, just to bring it up and emulsify.
So we've got our syrup, we've got our buttercream, and then lastly, let's quickly get into the curd.
This is something that I'm extremely excited about. This is one of my favorite things to make. Have you ever had a curd before?
I've had like a lemon curd, and I love it so much. I would eat it just like that out the bowl, actually.
So remember we were talking earlier about eyeballing ingredients? This is a perfect example.
Oh, yeah?
Because when I was taught to always make something like this over a double boiler on the stove and take your time to get it nice and smooth, I use the microwave, girl. Ain't nobody got time for that.
This is why we love you, Jay Miller. Okay, so we've got our half of the ingredients in. We've got sugar, yolk, and eggs. And we still have zest, butter, lemon, and cornflower. And we're going to keep you waiting just a little bit as we continue working, because I know that Graham is just dying to tell you something incredible. I don't know if it's about the smell that's coming from the kitchen, Gray, or something else.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome back to the Culinary Hotline. Bling! Ting, ting, ting. This cake, okay, we're making a kusista cake with Jay Miller. It's a baking 101, but now I'm talking about waging a cultural war to save this kind of cooking. That's how inspired I am. But we have seen you guys be inspired as well. We've got a couple of voice notes coming through. Let's hear if we've got another question that he can't actually answer. Ooh. First up is Halima. Let's hear her request.
Good morning. I don't like recipes that use a lot of eggs. Is it possible to substitute? Thank you.
Okay, she doesn't like recipes that use a lot of eggs. Is it possible to substitute? Can you work around that in the baking space?
Yeah, definitely. I do some vegan cakes that use applesauce as a substitute for eggs.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I also have a beautiful chocolate cake recipe that uses avocado.
I was about to say.
So, Halima, DM me on Instagram. I'll send you the recipe, girl. There's no way you can't have your cake and eat it.
What is your Instagram handle, my friend?
At Jason Derrick Miller.
You sound so official.
Jason Derrick Miller.
Do you know? But now we know his middle name, so now we are family. Okay, now we are family.
So,
I never took you for a Derrick, eh? That's quite.
No, Derrick. D-E-R-R-I-C-K.
I love it. Now, Juanita has got another question here, and I'm warned that this is kind of pushing the boat out a little. Let's hear.
Making like a curry kusista. Can a person make that?
Okay, I didn't quite get that. I just heard curry kusista. Could you do it?
Oh, curry kusista. Yeah, I say add the mother-in-law in your kusista batter, in your kusista dough. Add the mother-in-law. I think, you know what the thing is? These kind of spices are the same spices you would find in a curry. Yeah. But yeah, I think it's giving pickled fish and hot cross bun.
Yeah, for sure.
Kusista cake and curry. Maybe that's the thing.
Why not? Why not? And I think she knows how we roll on this show, that we will try anything. And I don't know if you were fishing for us to do that. You've got a week to figure out how we're going to do this, okay? A savory kusista. If you've got any questions, please send them. If you've got any comments, share the love on the socials. And now that you know his handle on Instagram, go and DM him right now and tell him how amazing he is. The most amazing part of all of this, for me, it's the injection of the citrus notes, because that's my favorite part of a kusista. Yeah. I'm sorry, that's what I lean towards. And wow, that frosting is just
that curd is next level.
Is amazing.
And you know why I decided to bring this element in? Because I remember as kids, after eating a nachi, you couldn't throw the peels away.
Yeah.
Omi had to dry them out and put them in a kusista.
100%.
So that's bringing in that note that I
love that.
Right?
And it shows you what you can do with the flavor base. You can push it that way. You can push it that way. Beautiful. I would imagine now this is where I think those of us that aren't really well practiced, it falls down in the compiling, on putting it all together. So how do we put this masterpiece together for the final stage?
So perfect. So you can see I've got my first layer down here. So what we're going to do, similarly to what you would do with a kusista, is you're going to syrup the edges. So,
And you've been gently syruping this for a while now. It's had a lot of love infused in there.
the same way you baste your
meat,
your
yeah.
meat and your roast. The same applies with your cakes. You adding more flavor, and also it's another good trick to have, because if you aren't really used to baking, if it's not your forte and your cakes come out a little bit dry, just syrup.
Syrup it, baby. Just
there's
pour
no
some
reason-
syrup on it.
No reason why you should let your cake go to waste.
And you're also pouring positive affirmations in. And our words matter. You don't realize how much our words matter, you see.
You have to smell that. It does.
Oh, my word.
What does
It's
that
like a
smell
giant
like?
consistent.
There we go.
I think the danger here is with each one of the individual ingredients, there is a strong urge to taste test and to indulge. You might end up with like no lemon curd left,
It's so
none
much
of your
fun.
frosting left.
People always laugh at me because I'm always crying in the kitchen, and this is why, because it's taking me to little Jay. This big under my granny, watching her do her thing. So it's just.
You're going to make me cry, man. There's something, maybe this is the era for going back and healing our inner child.
I think so.
Alethea spoke here about, is that your nana phoning you right now?
I think that's the cakes in the oven.
Yeah, exactly. And we've got a production line here, hey, because we know it's going to get to the point where people are going to start lining up outside our studio. We might have to actually have an Expresso food truck.
I think so.
I'm just saying, can we add to our Boer Carp Food Festival? Can we have an Expresso food truck festival?
I'm here for it.
If you guys are here for that, please start putting some pressure. Go onto Facebook, go onto Insta right now and start tuning, okay? We want an Expresso food truck festival, okay? And Jay will be there to give us a masterclass.
I will be there.
Every day.
With sister cake and all.
Exactly.
So, are you going to do another layer for me while I show you how to assemble?
Can I start the gentle process?
So, I'm going to create a bit of a dam here with my buttercream and add the curd in the middle.
Ooh.
So that's always also a nice surprise when people cut into the cake, having those little layers.
Oh, for sure.
And I can see this little specks of the rind from the nachi, which is going to add some extra flavor. So I'm going to go on with
I must say, now you are very much in the taste master space. The language you're using, everything, I can understand why this was such a hit on the show, because it kind of would have inspired the amazing contestants to start thinking about their own history, their own recipes, and how they can get creative and do something special. And that is brilliant.
No, for sure. And, it's just, I think it's so important, for me to, in a way, take forward, this is part of my family's history and our legacy,
Yeah, it's heritage,
and making it a little bit more approachable for the next generation, and leveling it up and changing things and doing things differently.
There you go, sir.
So you can syrup the top as well there and put some more on
Okay,
top.
on top. Ooh,
So
of course,
a
because
nice-
this is going to be our
That's going to be our top.
the tabletop.
Yeah. So another layer of the curd in the middle. And this also keeps really nicely in the fridge. So if you've made a bit of extra, put it in a jar. Also great for a gift. Little jar with a note.
100%, something bespoke. Show that you care because you're putting in the effort. I'm going to steal your little uppy. Oh, look at this. This comment's just come in from Shireen Abraham.
Oh, I know you, Shireen. I know you, Shireen.
She is officially part of the family. We love you, Shireen. Good morning, Jay and the team. So clearly they are good mates. So awesome to have you on the show this morning. Your recipes are amazing. And thanks for all the tips. Appreciate it. Have a blissful day. I wasn't kidding earlier. It was like literally every sentence of yours has a life hack in the kitchen. It's amazing. And it just takes the edge off the intimidation of baking, which I love, man. That is very, very cool.
I graduated from the baking school of life, and as a home cook and someone who's just, immersed myself in like this big world of culinary arts on social media and all of that, through that process, there's been a lot of stumbling, there's been a lot of learning. So I, in that way, have been able to learn all of these hacks. And that's what I love sharing with people, is that it's not intimidating. It's so easy.
You've got this.
You've got it.
Yeah, you can do it yourself. And most importantly, you can lean on your own history, your omas, your aunties, your mama's recipes that you love and know. So we're going to put the finishing touches on now. I'm really not going to rush Jay at this part of the process. I think we can even just put a dollop of lemon curd, but that's why I'm not leading the charge here. Do it, man.
Should we just do a little...
Carissa, I think I'm winning in the culinary race today.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
absolutely loved that. And I think we learned on World Earth Day how important these choices are. It needs to happen in the big corporate space, but we also have to then follow suit and make the right choices when we buy. But loved everything about that.
I love it. Can I make a good choice now by having
I don't think it's a choice.
What do you think?
Can we
It's
just, I think a lot of
beautiful.
people are feeling inspired by you this morning. Jay, can we hear from Louise right now?
Good morning, Jay. They look delicious, and I promise you I am going to try them today still. Thank you so much for the recipe now.
Oh, Louise Pina.
I like the way that everyone is calling you like Jay and everything. We are still on the show, okay, just so you know. We are ably assisting here, but that's beautiful, man. Absolutely
Chef.
beautiful. Are you, what's going on here? Are you going to cut it?
You have to cut it.
You've
You
got to
want
do
to hold
the honors.
hands? We can do it together.
Should we do it? Oh, we're getting married.
I think for a wedding cake idea, I don't want to actually say it out loud because I think she might use it for
I'm
her
going
wedding.
to use this.
Hey, but you
You're gonna
imagine
make
little
it for me.
individual sister portions for the not special guests.
Yes,
and then
the VIPs get
the very special guests get the cake.
That is when you'll know. Wow.
And like a true
Oh.
maestro, he's able to
yeah.
actually...
Are we just going to share this one?
Yeah, let's
could.
do it, man.
Who gets the top?
No, this is for the rest of the
Lemon
crew,
curd.
so they don't feel left out, and then we can apportion this for
Take some
ourselves.
lemon
Take some
curd
lemon
as
curd.
Well, now I'm going to do what you guys are doing.
And you know, speaking about a wedding cake, you could make this super interactive, put the lemon curd on the side, have some of the buttercream, and people can assemble their own little... Maybe we can turn this into a trifle, because, you know, we love a trifle.
at
We
my
turn
wedding.
everything into a trifle. I think what happened with the trifle, they had a whoopsie like you, and they were walking with the cake, and then the cake just fell, and then they just put it in jars and served it.
Graham, you've got to have a bite of this.
I almost don't want to do it because I'm worried it's not going to live up to the
Wow.
expectation in my mind.
Oh my goodness. Tastes like Cook Sister. Tastes like lemon. Tastes like delicious cake. Tastes like Jay made it.
Was it the aniseed that we used, or the...
Do you taste that?
Just that little hint
The
of grown-upness,
cardamoms.
hey? Oh,
It's so
my
worth it.
goodness.
And also another tip, because, you know, it's a day of tips. Toast your spices. Toast your spices.
Love that.
Okay, you can go. You've got
the tip.
literally like 2 minutes to go toast your spices. We'll be back with the news. Okay, I'm going in again. Come here. No, I don't know which one's my piece.
I don't know which one's
I'm
mine.
taking them all.